Hi, we are going to be completing a look with cool eyeshadows for stage makeup. We are going to start by moisturizing our face that has been cleansed with an Embryolisse moisturizer. And we are going to make sure that we massage that into our skin because we want to make sure that we have hydration before we put all the makeup that we are going to put on top. Then you're going to have to choose a primer that is for your type of skin. I have very oily skin, so my tendency is to use a primer that is specifically for oily skin, and it kind of sucks the oil in the skin to try to keep it matte. That way, as I sweat and the oil comes through, the makeup will not be movable basically. After that, I'm going to prime my eyes because I want to make sure that the eyeshadows that I'm going to put on do not crease. This is one by Milani. It is great. It is inexpensive. And you need to just put a little bit on your eyelids and it will help you. After that, you need to set the eyelids with some powder, any powder, just to make sure that when you apply your eyeshadows, you want your brush to be able to slide very smoothly on top of your eyelids. I'm going to use that Pretty Grunge palette by Huda Beauty, but basically if you have any grays and blacks, that would work. I am going to start using a color that is kind of like a grayish brown or brownish gray. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to sort of sketch to make sure that I am putting the eyeshadow with my eyes open. And notice that I keep looking in the mirror straight forward because I want to make sure that when I open my eyes, you still need to be able to see the eyeshadow. So that's why I keep checking. Then I'm going to go ahead and go with like a gray, which is a little bit of a darker gray. And I am going to put it basically in the 3/4 on the outside of my lid. Notice that I am being pretty sloppy. I am not really worried about fallout because I do my eyes first before I do my face makeup. And I'm going to go ahead and going to, with a fluffy brush, very gently, I'm going to continue to follow that shape that I initially created, but I'm going to make sure to extend it outwards and also to make sure that when it's time to clean it, I have a straight edge. Notice that I keep doing the same thing and then I go back to the clean brush and I wipe it against a towel. That's why when you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. And then I just go with a fluffy brush with no product and try to go ahead and make sure that I blend everything. That brush that I use right now is a smaller brush. You want to use a smaller brush as you go to darker colors. And I took a black eyeshadow and I'm doing the black eyeshadow on the 3/4 of my outside corners of my eyelids. And I am trying to kind of do like a C or a backward 7 if you want to think about it. But again, notice that I keep looking at the mirror in front of me and opening my eyes because I want to make sure that I am happy with the shape with my eyes open and that you can still see my eyeshadow with my eyes open. Now I'm going to go to a shimmer. This could be a matte eyeshadow if you would like. I like a shimmer because I love everything that sparkles. And I am going to use my finger. I'm going to swipe down and sideways to make sure that I get the pigment to adhere to my lid. Then I'm going to take that fluffy brush that I'm going to again wipe into a towel before I use it. That's what I'm doing right now, wiping it in a towel just so I can bring it back. And notice that I'm not taking the brush over my entire lid. I'm just going around the edges to make sure that it is blended. Now I'm using the white from an e.l.f. eyeshadow palette just to really brighten up the inside of the eyes. I have very small eyes and I like to try to make sure that I use very bright whites towards the inside of my eye. That's micellar water and a Q-tip. And I'm going to go ahead and dampen the Q-tip, and instead of using tape, which a lot of people do, which is fine, this is what works for me. I just take, again, looking straight forward, I take the Q-tip and I just wipe upwards so I can do a lifting effect. I am 55 years old and I tend to have droopy eyes towards the corners because of my age. So I try to make sure that when I do my makeup, I will always try to clean it up so it's upwards and it gives me a lifting effect. Now I am applying my foundation with a brush, and I am trying to make sure that I have a brush to apply it. I do prefer a brush to apply it because you will see that I will use a sponge later on to grab the excess. Make sure that you apply the foundation everywhere, and make sure that you specifically go a little bit down so there's no demarcation line between your jawline and your neck, so you look all one color. I just started applying some of the bronzer with a brush. Notice that this is a lot of makeup, but again, because it is for the stage and also for longevity. So we will do cream products first, and then we will start with powder products on top. I am using basically the loss of color that, painters use, which is, dark colors to recede and lighter colors to bring forward. I had applied concealer under my eyes, on my forehead, the middle of my nose, my chin, and also to the sides of my mouth again to lift, and also on top of my mouth. And then I am taking another brush to blend my contour bronzer. Notice that I don't blend downwards. I make sure that I either pat it into the skin or brush upwards because I don't want to bring those darker colors down. I used a liquid blush because, again, for longevity, I like to have a liquid or cream blush, and then after that, and with powder product, I realized that I used a lot of a pretty pigmented color, but don't worry, we're going to fix it. I'm taking a brush, and again, I'm not really swiping as much as I am patting down, and I'm adding a little bit again just for balance, a little bit to the top of my nose and my chin. And then I added, which I didn't record, but I added a touch more concealer, a little bit of a brighter concealer to under my eyes, on the inside part under my eyes, to try to help to blend around the lines of the blush. Now this is when I take a sponge and I soak it with any type of graping type of setting spray. I'm using the Milk one. e.l.f. has one that is pretty much the same and a lot more better priced, and I soaked my sponge, and I am using my sponge not only to grab excess makeup that I may have, but I'm also pressing it because I want to make sure that I set that layer of cream makeup before I start with my powders. I'm going to take Fit Me powder, which is a really, really great powder for the price. And I am going to take into a powder puff that I am going to first press on my hand just to give me a little bit more control. And then I continue to pick up the powder on my hand to put on the rest of my face. If you have to go back to add more powder, you definitely want to press powder all over your face. Notice that did not take away the blush or the contour. But still, I'm taking all of the areas where I bronze or contour before with cream, I am putting powders on top now. And I'm going to be doing the same with the blush. Again, to the sides of my nose. Not too necessarily because I want to make it look smaller, but because I want to add dimension. Everything that we do with contours, with blushes, with lighter colors is more to add dimension to the skin, because when lights hit the face, you look like a pancake if you don't have dimension. I'm using a powder blush on top of the very pigmented blush that I used before, so I don't really need much of the powder one. Now, Notice that I wait to do the eyeliner after I have already a guide, because I waited until I had a very clean edge. I prefer to just follow that line so my eyeliner is sort of faded with and blended with the edge. I don't like for my eyeliner to be by itself in the void, so to speak. I don't like a line to appear lonely or by itself. I like to make sure that it blends with the edge. Now I'm taking a very little brush because again I have little eyes, and I'm going to take a little bit more of the gray powder eyeshadow. I'm going to tap it to my hand first because we don't want any of the shadow to fall in our face because we already did our face makeup. So that's what you see me do there. I first tap into the product, then I tap on my hand to avoid the fallout, and then I just go ahead and go around my eyes. I don't go inside my eyes. I try again to create the illusion of bigger eyes. You could also add a nude or white eyeliner in the inner eye if you want. Now for lips, I am using a cool brown lip liner, and this is Limitless Brown by Makeup Forever. I love it for longevity, and I also love the fact that you can use it regardless of the color of lipstick that you're going to use. I try to shape my mouth, my lips a little bit bigger on the top and the bottom, but I follow the sides just as they are, and I fill in a little bit of the corners of the mouth to try to give again the illusion of more dimension. I happen to have these lashes laying somewhere, so I put them on off screen, and they are, they're one of my favorite ones because they're pretty thick on the ends. I should have curled them a little bit afterwards, but this was late and I'm going to bed afterwards, so no need to do that right now. I am going to apply a L'Oreal lipstick in the Plum Intense. Excuse my pronunciation. And I am going to also give you another little tip that you probably know. This is not something that I created, but I do follow. I go ahead and make sure to line my lips, fill it in, then I go with a little bit of foundation and try to make sure that I go around my lips. Then I set that with powder. As we get older, we lose dimensions and the lines of our lips kind of get faded away. Then I take a tissue and apply any powder on top of the lip, and enough of it rubs into the lip to give you a little bit more lasting power. Then I touch up my lips just a little bit with a little bit more lipstick. Try to press them together for that pigment to really adhere to my lips. And then I do a final blotting and notice that my lipstick is still there. I perfect the lines if I feel like I want a little bit more of a crisper line. Then I am going to use this powder. This is a super, super cool, almost green type of powder. It's perfect for that ashy color to create shapes. And if I feel like I want a little bit more shape, I go ahead and do the finishing touches, try to add a little bit more. I decide if I want a little bit more highlight somewhere, again, just to make sure that I bring attention to certain areas. Like for example, I'm going to, again, continue to add a little bit more of a brighter inner eye with the hope that I can create that elongated illusion of the eye. Then I try to raise or give me a little bit of an eyebrow lift by putting a little bit of the highlight on the highest point under my brow. Then I wiped the excess on that towel, and then I just went ahead and blended the top part just so it wasn't harsh. That is the L'Oreal 3-second spray and to set the face. And then I added, off camera, I added some glowing product for my neck. It always looks great depending on the neckline that you're wearing. And now I am going to use a gel that I keep on my kit, and it is perfect for flyaways, but it is really, really good to use to make sure that you put it on your brows, and that way your brows stay put for the rest of the show or for the rest of the performance. It's a great trick, and it's just one less product that you have to carry with you. Then I realized that I have forgotten to put some highlight in the bridge of my nose, because again, I want that to kind of come forward, again, just to add dimension. And that is it. Please let me know if there's any questions, and I hope you have a great show.